as we have sought to find the facts and establish the truth. I wish to pay tribute to the late human rights activist, Chief Gani Fawehimi, senior advocate of Nigeria, who inspired us on this path of discovery. Now he can truly rest in peace in the assurance that what he started about 23 years ago has come to fruition. Gani's vindication today gives credence to the saying that no matter how fast a lie runs, the truth will someday overtake it. Former American President Thomas Jefferson once said, and I quote, "If I had to choose between government without newspapers and newspapers without government, I wouldn't hesitate to choose the latter." From exposing the Watergate scandal and unraveling the dubious certificates of politicians, journalists have maintained eternal vigilance by bridging the gap and stepping in when other arms of government failed. It is for these reasons that commendation must be given to David Hundeyin, an independent journalist whose extraordinary work and those of many more young people like him has become a source of inspiration. Special thanks must be given to the millions of Nigerian youths and citizen journalists too, who continue to put out the truth online even when no one is listening. Indeed, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. They have put the country first in their firm commitment to unravel the truth and hold leaders accountable. This gives me the hope that we have worthy partners in the struggle to reclaim the country we call our home. This quest is not for or about Atiku Abubakar. It is a quest for the enthronement of truth, morality, justice, and accountability in our public affairs. In line with this, let me call...
Your Excellency, sir, my name is Babayola Mahmoud Toko. My question is, irredentism has taken over the country. We only hear of Yoruba race and Igbo nation. When people are talking about Nigeria, from where I'm sitting, I notice it's only Northerners. I'm talking as a Northerner, not as a pan-Nigerian. It's only Northerners that are talking about Nigeria. People talk about the Igbo nation.
Okay, we've seen just recently Tinubu came back, from his trip from UK and from France. And from the report that we heard, we were a very dark man come out and was so angry. He said, "Why is Tinubu not handing over power to Shettima?" And that for what he heard, that Shettima refused to go and welcome the president. And for what we know, it's as if the Fulani, they are hell-bent. They begged Donald Trump and the US Congress to angrily to release Tinubu's drug file, of 1992, 1993. They said, it's another time the US government and Donald Trump, expose this Tinubu government.
That's the option of the Fulani, the Sultan of Sokoto, the Caliphate, the northern Fulani governors. In fact, I think the elders too are also involved in that game plan, because what we are seeing is that, they are looking at options, because it's a big tough for them now to see how they are going to use Akpabio, who is already the Senate president, use the House of Reps to instigate any form of emergency within the political space that will lead to impeachment. But having calculated that all those areas, they are still working towards that direction, seeing on what are going to lay their hand on at the end of the day. But the only open option now is for they are even praying, even though it looks like the congressman seems not to establish a direct relationship with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But I can give you an insight of what Very Dark Man is talking about based on what happened in France when Bola Ahmed Tinubu visited France. And we remember that there was some top US officials that had a closed door meeting on the issue, because the intelligence report is there that the Fulani has already laid down big trap for him to go by a certain fiat by the US president based on what transpired in his drug file and the forfeiture, because the evidence is still in the bank where he forfeited so and so money. And remember, not only him, the whole drug issue is also going to link his wife, link to one Adeboyega, link to one Adewale, and all these cartels, all these people, have one account they are remitting their money. And it happened that that account actually belongs to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, according to the report we are seeing so far. So that's why the CIA always came every now and then and say that Tinubu is still their asset. So they are looking at that direction very well, and the plan to get the British government to lobby US government over that issue collapsed, because Keir Starmer could not know where to stand and to defend Bola Ahmed Tinubu on that area. And you can see the British and the Fulanis in Nigeria have this common understanding when it comes to British maintaining their influence in Nigeria. They always want to use the Fulani. So that's where the crack is coming. So it looks like that it is a retaliation time, and we're not going to use gun or whatever, and we're not going to put you on the battlefield as you may think. We are also already targeting the Senate, but this one, I tell you that immediately Donald Trump announces now the drug file of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Do you know what the North intend doing? That's going to be massive. In fact, the whole 66 million Northerners are going to resume work in Abuja on daily basis until Tinubu goes. If he fails to go, if he was being reported to have been indicted by drug activities in the United States of America, Chicago precisely. And it's a very big one. It's a very big shame that Nigerian government president, was a former drug dealer in the United States of America, peddling drugs that kill, that the American government said they do not want to engage in it. So he will try for persecution. They can decide to invade him anytime. They can decide to invite him, and once they invite him, and I think that is the angle Shettima have come to understand, because as I said, Shettima has some classified information about Tinubu at this moment, and Tinubu is afraid. And the only thing that Tinubu can run to is the entire South. Please help me. Help me. They are coming. They are coming. They are coming. Because I told you the friction is going to be between. It started from Tinubu and Shettima, who they are not too compatible in office, and a lot of things is separating them. One of the things that is separating them is the appointment and interest, and which Bola Ahmed Tinubu shut him down completely and Yorubalized everywhere. So from there, he was invited by Buhari, and Buhari told them, "I told you people. Unfortunately, you didn't see what I'm saying. But the next option is going to be Igbo. They see Igbo, are still putting question mark in the relationship that is going to involve Yorubas and Hausa at the end of the day. But at the moment now, top Fulani political players, major players, are already in Saudi Arabia, in the Arab world, using their links to make sure that the drug file is reopened as a threat to Bola Ahmed Tinubu ambition 2027 to collapse.
But do you not think, from the inception of this country, since democracy, we've seen that the people that are majorly ruling Nigeria are the Yorubas and the Fulanis. But do you not think that right now the Yorubas will feel betrayed by this move from the Fulanis?
Yes, it has always been there, but somewhere along the line, I pray this one will not trigger to a point, they will not be able to agree again, because if they are not able to agree now, they will want to seek alliance with the Igbo people, and the Igbo people are already saying bye-bye to them. So from there, that's why a lot of people are saying that if the champion that uprising from the north over using Tinubu's the drug case to launder America to declare him, a criminal. I wouldn't say he's a criminal anyway, to declare him a person, a drug dealer. You know what it means? That means it will trigger a lot of things. Government can come to a halt, and it might signal be a very big problem that the North can rise, capitalizing on that they don't want president who is a drug dealer. You should go and answer his question. But if the FBI can tender that case, so he said, and the funniest thing is that the one that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the FBI director that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been removed, another person brought in. Tinubu does not have connection with this one. You understand? And the thing is that when they start dragging him now, it's going to affect Remi too, because Remi too was also mentioned in that case. So as people who tendered whatever account, and you can see some of the account details are still there in United States of America, with evidence tracing to as being reported that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was actually involved in drug peddling.
But do you not think if he's truly indicted, do you not think this is a global disgrace? And at the same time, do you not think other world leaders will abstain or move or stop doing business with Nigeria based on when the #1 citizen of a country has been indicted in drug activity?
So many countries are already running away from Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You understand? He's only trying to see how he can use Macron. I think Macron was his last option, when everything started collapsing. But unfortunately, he wondered why Macron should have treated him the way he treated him the last time he went to France. As he's entering France, Macron is running away from France, and Macron was not able to see him. And when he said and felt embarrassed, he moved to London. You understand? But unfortunately, the same thing happened to him. So the reports from FBI have gone around all over the world, that any moment from now, we are going to announce his drug case. There's one man we know in Nigeria who happens to be the president. He has so record, and there's evidence, against him. So once he's flying there, once in any country there, the fellow colleagues will see him and say, please search him very well. Maybe he has something inside his pocket. He was a drug lord, drug baron. That kind of a thing. It's a very big image for Nigeria, because out of 250 million, the only person we can bring out is a former drug lord. It does not put our image, and maybe that's the reason why Nigeria is facing, a cancellation of bilateral and multilateral relationship with several countries. We are a bit active under Jonathan, but when APC government came in, everything, take another direction, to the surprise of many, and of course, you can see it has already been warned. Please don't come closer to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump will not hesitate to, do the damage at the end of the day. But it's a big lesson to the Southwest Yorubas at this point. If the North, the Fulanis will rise up against them, it will be a very big lesson to them. We cannot put Igbos on the table now to feast on them, because if we do that, that will absolutely injustice, because we know what is actually happening and why the Igbo political machine, has been steaming in another direction. It's steaming, but it's steaming in another direction. You understand? A lot of people might not hear the sound. You understand? The kind of politics they play, you understand? The Igbos does not play that kind of politics. At the end of the day, the victimization, no, we don't do that. The Igbos don't do that anyway. But the North, who could not understand that there's a difference between religion and politics. Their own politics is based on religion. But in the southern part of the country here, they are trying to bring that culture of religion into politics in the southern part of the country. And we are not seeing any resistance to that. We are not seeing the South resisting that, especially when they bring people who share the same ideology in terms of religion to govern the entire southern region. You can see what is happening. Look at governors bowing down to Sultan of Sokoto from the eastern part of the country. Look at Wike. Look at even they want to introduce Baba Sope type of politics. You understand? You can see where the thing is. You can see where the thing is heading to, and these governors cannot speak up if their people are being killed by the Fulanis. They cannot talk. You see, everybody is silent. But I think it will get to a point, it will trigger, a regional revolution at the end of the day, where everything will lead to, of course, what we are still talking about today. That is exactly might be the second plan, so plan B of the northern Nigeria.
Okay, okay. But do you think that Tinubu will step down if he's actually indicted? And do you think he will answer to the call of the US government?
I think that he also calculated well, by putting some core, replacing, taking his men to fix in some key positions in case that happens. The structure will not be too down at the end of the day. But what is going to come from the Senate, and once he's been indicted, ahead of 2027, because there's no how the FBI will not release the case file. They will. That's once it releases and there's any evidence of that, I think the North will spearhead an impeachment process from the Senate. And that will trigger what will happen at the end of the day, and he'll be forced to collapse and pave way for another doctrine of necessity.
Okay, and lastly, do you think that okay, and lastly, do you think that this case would have, do you think that if Tinubu were not to be the president of Nigeria, do you think that they would have Fulani should have brought up this case to indict him if Tinubu was not the president of Nigeria?
If Tinubu was not the president of Nigeria, definitely a Southerner would have been, and the type of politics a Southerner would have played would be different from the one Bola Ahmed Tinubu is playing, and the only thing they will want to do is that, if there is no balance, if everything is decided, they might not want to champion any form of peace anymore. So they will look at that area, either using the Senate or trying to see the area the president is not doing well and instigate an uprising, and maybe through impeachment or whatever. So the Tinubu type of politics, I think it's a lacuna one, and it's a threat to, and it has not been able to bring a positive result on the dividends of democracy. And this kind of thing, the North does not want Nigeria to break. So if you are coming up with this kind of policy that's already threatened over stretched citizens economically, the North will not be happy, because the North know what they have benefited from Nigeria, especially from the crude oil resources from the Biafran land. They know what they have benefited so much. So if Tinubu is coming to instigate economic an uprising against Nigeria, it will lead to breakup. So if they not look for options, to understand deeply where this economic policies is heading to, is it going to trigger a form of revolution from the people? Is it going to trigger an unrest? Is it going to create an atmosphere where Nigerians will become armed by themselves and take laws into their hand as a result of hardship and hunger? So the North are also looking at that, having invested so much in Nigeria, and